Re-elected House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is proposing some gender-neutral free speech limitations for the 117th Congress. Instead of saying mother or father, members would be required to say parent. Instead of son or daughter, they'd say child. And instead of sister or brother, it would be sibling. You get the idea. This comes of no surprise to our next guest. Campus reform reporter Ophelia Jacobson says speech restrictions like these have been going on for quite a while on many of our nation's college campuses. Ophelia, always good to see you. So you have plenty of examples, but most recently I know a professor at Marquette University threatened to lower the grade of one student if he didn't use gender-neutral language in a term paper. Tell us about that one.
That's exactly right. And we've seen multiple examples at the Leadership Institute's campus reform, even at the University of Pittsburgh. They removed all gender terms from their homecoming titles. Again, this is nothing new. What we've seen on campuses across the nation for years is the attack on freedom of speech and the idea that everything has somehow turned into being offensive. Just as you saw in the 117th Congress opening this past weekend with the new proposal from Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, she's pushing these types of terms and these policies to ban gendered language such as mother, daughter, father, and son from the House of Representative rules. I mean, these are just the types of policies that we see, and it's this type of control of information that we're seeing on campuses as well.
Yeah, some people just think that's crazy. Now, I know just before Christmas, you asked some college students what they thought about a possible Biden administration proposal to enact a hate speech law. Here's a brief clip of their responses.
Biden coming out with that would definitely be beneficial, with kind of setting a boundary and saying this is what we will protect and won't protect.
Who would actually be in charge of figuring out what is and isn't hate speech then?
I don't. His team, I'm guessing.
A recent Gallup survey actually showed that a majority of college students would be okay with their colleges creating hate speech laws and kind of prohibiting hate speech on campus. What do you guys think of this? Should colleges have that role?
I think it would be good. I think it'd be helpful.
Yeah, it would definitely help in campus life.
I think so, just because colleges have such a big role on, raising the next generation and stuff like that.
If you are on a college campus, there should be some restrictions to what you can say and can't say in order to benefit the college community.
Earlier in your man on the street interviews, or should I say woman on the street, or maybe now I should say person on the street interviews, students admitted the First Amendment allows free speech, but why do they support a law restricting hate speech when they know it would violate the U.S. Constitution?
Well, when I asked students if they would support a hate speech law on their own campuses, they all agreed. But the irony was they weren't even able to define what hate speech is. And that's the main issue we run into with these types of laws, is that hate speech is very subjective. It's very hard to define. So who is to say what is and isn't offensive? In a country where freedom of speech is one of our foundational principles, there is a chance that at any point in time, anything can be deemed offensive by anyone. And we saw that, with the 117th Congress with Nancy Pelosi and her proposal, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I think that one student said they'd leave it up to Biden and his staff or something. And anyone who's read George Orwell's 1984 would know about the doublespeak and the thought police. So please share another recent example with us about politically correct speech on campus, and why should we all be concerned?
Well, it's concerning that the trends and characteristics of a supposedly fictional book, 1984, are coming to life on our college campuses. And perhaps the most striking example is the idea that 2 + 2 = 5. In the book 1984, this is promoted by the government to try and control the way that their citizens think. And we're seeing the same thing happen on our college campuses with this exact idea. Professors at Brooklyn College, at Harvard University, and the University of Illinois all actively, supported the idea that 2 + 2 = 5. And they even said that math is racist. This is absurd. I mean, math is about numbers and logic. It always has been. Even 5-year-olds know that 2 + 2 = 4. So again, it's just another example of how these professors are trying to control the way their students think. And we saw this happen in the fictional book of 1984.
Yes, if you tell a lie often enough, it becomes a truth, or at least people believe it's a truth.